from the side, ref.
Welcome back to In From The Side, the rugby show that hits harder than Bucky's Boerta after 5 brandies. I'm joined by my co-host and partner in crime, Matthew Rhodes, a man who is 60% of the time right every time. How's it, Matt?
Yeah, good. 100% of the time, 60% of the time. I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, lekker, man. Not as nice as it is in Cape Town. For the folks out there that missed the show for the last couple of weeks, Matt's on holiday, so it's been a bit of a challenge to get this the show up and running, but we're back live, baby. We are back.
We are back, baby. We are fucking back. We're back. Classic.
Nice. Yeah, blue skies outside, warm weather, walking the promenade in Sea Point today. We've come by a few days in Paarl, a few days in Tulbagh before that, doing some wine tasting. Still on the vino, no failed coats today.
It sounds shit, mate. It's
refreshing.
It's cold and miserable in Bedford, so I don't know. I think you're the one missing out.
We're here for some business and pleasure. It's been nice to see family, get to see some friends. But yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge trying to set up and rely on Wi-Fi's and internet connections and things like that to get our show going. So we've missed 1 week. Apologies to anyone who was hanging out. Our 15 loyal supporters sitting there going, where's the show this week?
I think we're back down to 13, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, a couple of oaks have gone across to some other podcasters. But no, we're good. Things are good. And there's some good rugby on at the moment. And obviously the internationals kick off this week. And so pertinent that we should be having a chat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, it's long overdue. It's good to be talking rugby again. Obviously, the URC is in full flow. Some mixed results over the first couple of weeks, apart from the Stormers, who are looking the cream of the crop of the South African teams currently. They are playing like a house on fire. I think the thing that impresses me the most about the Stormers is their defense. Like they've zeroed 2 teams already, and they've kept scores to a minimum. They've got a solid defense, and they find ways to grind out victories. Like Benetton in Italy is not an easy game, mate, and they won quite comfortably at the end. So just I don't know what's going on in Cape Town. Obviously, they've got some star players back like Kobus Reinach's now with the Stormers, but they're playing some scintillating rugby.
Yeah, very, very good. While I'm on the ground here, I'll do some research in my time here.
Send them north. Whatever you find out, send it north.
or send them out east. There's been some great results, and fair play to the Stormers. As you say, they're playing a decent brand of rugby, good defensive structures, good on attack as well. So 5 out of 5 is a good return early doors. I'm a bit frustrated with the other teams, South African teams, that is, haven't really come up the gates as well as we were hoping or expecting. My team in particular, the Sharks, a bit woeful, a bit wayward. And really, for me, calls into question some of the coaching. So we have been littered with talent. We've got world champions throughout our team, and yet we just we're hot and cold, and it's very frustrating for me as a Sharks supporter.
It is the weirdest thing, mate, because you take the core of that team, they're all in the Springboks setup. Okay, sure, guys like Bongi and Vincent Koch haven't played for the Springboks that much this year, but they're part of the setup. And there's something in it about, I don't know if it's motivation or connecting with the players or what it is. It's not skill, it's not experience. These guys are highly skilled, they're vastly experienced, but somehow you take that group of players and they perform under Rassie and they don't perform under Plum. I don't have the answers. I don't know what it is, but there's a big disconnect in that team.
It's an interesting point you make, and they haven't performed under Plum. I know that when we went to go and watch Leicester Tigers against the Sharks last year, he came over with what seemed like an understrength team. They got absolutely trounced. It was diabolical, and actually it was pretty shameful and embarrassing. And we just felt like, as fans, it was a bit of a piss take. We'd driven up there, got tickets, and it just seemed like a waste of time, especially in the pissing wind and cold that it was. But they answered some critics with the performances that they put out next after that. And it's that hot and cold that I just can't get my head around. And that seems to be the consistent thing, is that sometimes they're amazing, and most of the time they leave you feeling like you're still wanting. So for me, at what point do you look to another coach? Like what is Plum? And he seems like the nicest guy under the sun. Like nice guy, good coach, good player, great pedigree, great background, seems to have really good philosophies, but something's just not working. And, at what point do you go, what is the marker of success as a coach? Surely it's winning tournaments and championships and trophies and winning, especially when you have a team of superstars like we have. And if you can't get that together, then the question is, well, if not you, then who? And so it makes me feel sorry for the likes of Jake White. Going to the Bulls, he didn't win, but he got them to 3 finals?
Three out of 4 finals, mate.
3 out of 4 finals over those couple of years. Okay, fine. Right at the end, he maybe lost the support of his backroom staff and some of the senior players with a few of the comments that he made, and maybe those were made out of frustration. But the simple reality is he got bulleted because he didn't achieve the results. And so when you look at the kind of standards of excellence that are being set elsewhere from a coaching perspective around achievements and delivery, then you've got to kind of use that as a benchmark and go, what have the Sharks achieved? What have they got in their cabinet? And the answer is nothing. So look, I'm not calling for his head, but maybe it's some questions need to be answered.
Yeah, even on the weekend when they played the Scarlets, that you would expect them to smash the Scarlets, specifically at home. You would have expected them to beat Ulster and at least win one on the road, and they're just not producing the goods. So I did read this week that they are looking into the coaching structures at the Sharks. I don't think they're going to get rid of Plum, not this early in the season, but it looks like they are going to make some changes to the backroom staff. I don't know if they're going to get rid of people. I know Warren Whiteley is involved with the forwards, or if they're going to bring in some expertise and some coaching power. But what's interesting, you talk about Jake White. I saw he got signed by Selborne College in the Eastern Cape. So you got a World Cup winning coach. He took the Bulls to 3 finals, out in the cold, coaching schoolboy rugby, which is how's that guy still not coaching at the highest level? I know he's got his detractors. Not everyone's a Jake White fan. But he's always consistently produced the results. Maybe he hasn't won trophies, but geez, he won a lot with the Bulls, and
he won the number 1 trophy in the world.
Yeah, so, but I mean, recently, Plum hasn't won any cups apart from the Challenge Cup a couple of seasons ago, and that was before I think he came back as head coach. But the day-to-day results, week in, week out, is not there. So I think they need to make some changes there.
It's that inconsistency. Look, I mean, again, I feel for Jake White, because you could say a run of bad finals, but he got them there, right? I mean, on the day, finals footy is about who pitches up and who puts in a better performance. It's a 50-50. Yeah. Form means nothing, really. It's what you bring on the day and who wants it more. Yeah. And unfortunately, coming up against teams like Leinster, which are riddled with world champions, or at least rather not world champions, but world-class players. You can feel for the guy, because it's like, well, I got them there, but they weren't just able to get over the line. And he still got the bullet. Now, what can Plum say? Like you say, he hasn't got them there. We're flailing week in, week out. We put in one good performance, and then so it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to hear what the people at home who are watching this think and what their suggestions are, whether they would want to see him gone if they're a Sharks supporter, or what they think needs to change. Because again, I can't get my head around it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's move on from the Sharks. They got the win on the weekend, which is what they needed. So it came at the wrong time, because now there's a break for the international games again. So we're only seeing the boys back at the end of November, but hopefully the Sharks can continue that momentum into Christmas.
But maybe that's the saving grace that Plum needs, right? So he's making a few changes in the backroom staff. There's a bit of a gap between now and when they come back. They've had a bit of a win. If he can go on and kick on from there, maybe that's the saving grace. But if they just, again, flail, after this, then I think, harder questions need to be answered.
Yeah. Talking about inconsistency, Matt, let's talk about the Bulls and the Lions. Lions, I mean, they started off very, very poorly, but they've won the last 2 games and they play really well against Ulster. Similarly to Plum, I thought Cash van Rooyen said is going to be on the block at some point because he's been coaching them forever now, it seems. And again, they've never really gone higher than mid-table at best. Never really pushed for a playoff spot in the URC. They're not close to getting into the Champions Cup. So again, a big and you look at Ellis Park, it's just empty, mate. It's so sad to see. We know it's not in the best part of Joburg, but they need something changing at the Lions. But they're getting some good results in the last 2 weeks, so hopefully they can build on that. We know they've got a young team with some exciting talent. But the Bulls, like you, I'm a Bulls guy. I'm very frustrated because we were so excited after the last couple of seasons where Jake got them close, but not close enough. Now you bring in somebody like Johan Ackerman. We saw what he did with the Lions historically and what he did with the under-20s. They played scintillating rugby, and I was super excited. I thought, yes, Ackerman's going to unlock this Bulls team. We're going to have the forward dominance. That backline's going to fire because we've got so much talent, but it's just again, inconsistency. We started off fairly okay. We leaked a couple of tries at Loftus in those first 2 games. Lost badly to Ulster. We got lucky against Connacht. We pulled off that win. And then again, we were in the game against Glasgow for 60 minutes. Curtly Orance's try was disallowed, rightfully so, because of a knock-on earlier on in the play. And it's almost that last 20 minutes, Glasgow just picked up their momentum, phase after phase. We just couldn't continue defending. We never got our hand on the ball, and they shut us out. So, 3 from 5. As a Bulls fan, that wouldn't be good enough. I would have expected at least a win against either Glasgow or Ulster. They're both good teams, so I take nothing away from them. But I think it's more the way we've played. It's flat, it's incoherent at times. It's just like the team isn't clicking. So hopefully there's enough of a foundation, and they've seen enough now going into the break that he can go with his backroom staff like Plum and just say, what do we tweak here? Why is it not working? Why are the guys not firing? So hopefully the Bulls can only get better from here.
Yeah, mate, I think it's an interesting one, right? Because, like you say, there's so much expectation, especially after, the kind of unceremonious departure of Jake White. Jan Ackerman's coming back in. So much excitement and enthusiasm. Also with Andre Pollard coming back into the team. As a Bulls fan, I know that you and I were sitting there having a few beers together, and you were literally frothing with excitement, just waiting with anticipation. And again, they haven't come out the traps. And so, is this? There's always a bit of a transitionary period whenever a new coach comes in. But given the kind of class of talent that's there and the coaching pedigree that Johan Ackerman has, you would think that they would be able to gel pretty quickly. So, as an independent friend of yours watching you and your team, I expected to see more by this stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, I agree, mate. So it's apart from the Stormers, I think all 3 other South African teams, they need to step up a little bit and just bring that consistency week in, week out. But again, it's a long season. It's still early days.
Early doors. I know it's early doors, but this is my frustration. We don't come out the traps. There's been a few years now where we start the URC or the kind of the competition's really lagging, and you just think to yourself, why? You've got all the talent, you've got all the ambition. It's not a strategy. We're not going to come out and sort of drop the hammer with 200 to go kind of thing. You should play as a professional unit week in, week out to the best of your ability. And it's frustrating to see inconsistency across all those teams. And we come back to the point, fair play to the Stormers. They're being the most consistent for South African teams and playing a great brand of rugby, which is exciting to watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's it for the URC, Matt. Focus shifts now for the next couple of weeks to international rugby. Woo-hoo! Super glad to see the Boks back in action this weekend. We're going to talk briefly about the squad that was selected and some notable omissions. I think that's the key talking point around the squad. But it's Japan first up. Apart from that game, it's also England taking on the Aussies at Twickenham and Ireland taking on New Zealand in Dublin. So it's a big weekend of international rugby.
It's a big game, that the Ireland-New Zealand one. I'll start there just quickly, because obviously we'll finish and come back to the Bokke. We'll probably talk about them the most. The Irish, I think, are probably looking at New Zealand and the way that they've been a bit inconsistent themselves through the Rugby Championship, and thinking, this is our opportunity to get a win in our backyard. They've been a bit up and down, New Zealand, and so they'll be licking their lips, I'm sure. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. Japan, Australia, they played each other last week. Both a bit of a run out, a bit of an experimental team on the Aussie side. And so what can England expect with Aussie coming to town? Don't know, really. The old foe, the Poms, are going to be looking at the Aussies, thinking they were inconsistent as well. And I think, if you looked at the autumn internationals last year, we were pleasantly surprised with the way the Australians fared. They came out better than we expected. I don't know if the English will be looking at them, the Palms, going, they're a little bit wounded and we can take them. So again, it's a bit of a 50-50 on that front. And then coming to us in Japan really, I don't know if they had much of an outing last week, but they didn't shower themselves in gold, and they didn't do themselves any disservice either. So I think it'll be a good hit out for us. But I think it's a nice way for us we should absolutely smash Japan. But we should. And so I'm going to go early doors and say that we're going to put 40 points in them. But if we don't, and what I don't want to happen is for us to be complacent. We go in, autumn series, we play Japan first, a minnow team, and we don't get into our stride. And then when the real games come in the following weeks, we're not at our best, and therefore the other teams take advantage of that. I want us to go out there, oil up our limbs, get ourselves playing some fancy football, and really gelling from a defensive perspective, offensive, get our scrum going, get our set piece done, so that when we come up against those other teams, we are good and ready.
Yeah. No, look, I think Rassie's going to pay them the respect that they deserve. They came very, very close to beating Australia, regardless of who the Aussies picked. They still had some big names in that side. Yeah. Eddie Jones has come out and said he thinks this Japan team is better than the one that beat the Boks 10 years ago in Brighton. So big statement from him. You can trust Eddie Jones that he'll have this team ready. If there's, again,
also trust Eddie Jones. Shit is what.
Yeah, but if there's one game that they're going to target for their end of year to upset someone, it's going to be the Springboks. So they're going to leave nothing out on the field. I don't think Rassie, he hasn't picked an experimental squad in any case. It's a settled squad. All of these guys have played for the Boks this year. We can expect some changes, definitely. Guys like Kurtley Arendse is back in the squad. I'm sure he's going to get a hit out and get a bit of a run. But Rassie, again, his thinking is all about 2027. And at the end of this year, in December, they're doing the draw for the pools for the 2027 World Cup.
So he wants to smash it again.
It's important that we finish first on the global rankings, so that we get, hopefully, a beneficial draw. There's no way that Rassie is going to take this game lightly at all.
Losing to Japan.
Will be ready.
Losing to Japan from a points, and again, who knows the metric system that they use at World Rugby to define who goes where. World number 1, we dropped to 3, Ireland stay the same, then we're back up to number 1, whatever. I know that there is a methodology that they use, but us losing to Japan on the road would not be good for us in the context of what you just described. We want to be finishing on top so that we got the best run for the World Cup. And so, again, Russ is going to give it its fair due, I think, which is why I think we got to put 40 points plus.
Never say never, mate. We've lost to them before. We've lost to Italy before, but
we have done.
Those were hard lessons that we learned where we did take them lightly, which Rassie won't repeat. So I agree with you. We'll win. We should win. Relatively easy, but if we win something like 35-12 or something, I think that'll be acceptable. We'll score 4 tries. The guys will get a good run out, and we'll be ready for France the next week, which is, apart from the All Black tests, our biggest test of the year. And I see the French have already started with excuses. Jalibert is injured. Dupont is injured. They're already feels like they're already making excuses. But still,
Waving white flags.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play out of our boots. Just quickly about the squad. A lot of people have been saying, why is Evan Roos not part of the squad? Is there an argument? It's a very fair question. Russie's come out and defended it and said there's no personal issue between him and Evan Roos. He thinks Evan Roos is a world-class player and he's going to play many, many more tests. But we're looking for, I mean, Cameron Hanekom's injured, Alrich Louw's injured. Kwagga, I think everyone agrees he's somebody that makes a bigger impact off the bench. We've tried Sia at 8. Sia's not an 8. You know, he needs to play on the side of the scrum.
So playing at 8 was good.
Yeah, it was decent, but again, he's more a Peter Steff type of player that can play lock and blindside. So apart from Jasper, there's no real recognized number 8 in that squad. So I think it's a very fair question for folks to be asking. He's won man of the match, I think, twice in a row now. He's smashing teams in the URC. He's in great form. Why doesn't he get a look in? So I don't know what your thoughts are on Evan Roos.
Maybe he's not versatile enough. If you look, Sia's played 8, and so they look at, you know, versatility there. Sia can play on the side in his natural position, and then cover 8. And maybe that's the thinking there. It's like we need to look at a compact squad. We've got an 8th man in Jasper. We've got backup in Sia. And that's good enough to see us through the tour. We'll put Evan on standby because he is part of the standby team, standby crew.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is. And if anything happens, if we all of a sudden lose Sia, then we're a man short. We'll pull in Evan. So I think you've got to be a bit strategic around your selections. And again, thinking about who comes off the bench. Evan Roos is, correct me if I'm wrong, but just an 8th man out and out. Like he wouldn't play. Yeah, but again, Jasper's starting. If Evan Roos was starting, maybe this would be Jasper finding himself on the sort of standby bench, right? So it's to say, if you want to have the green and gold on your, wear it and have that number 8 on your back, well, then you've got to be the best number 8 in the country, and Jasper pips him to that position. And so you've got your starter. Then you think, okay, well, if things happen in the game, we've got our team. We've got Kwagga comes off the bench. He's an impact player. We've seen how important he is as that impact player. If something happens to him, we've got Sia. Now, if something happens to Sia, we can put Kwagga in there, but then we become exposed. That's when Evan comes in. So I think that's the thinking there.
Okay. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm sure we'll see him back in the Springbok team at some point. Russie's too transparent to not be taken seriously, with his comments over Evan Roos. So we'll see what happens. The other thing that I think sticks out like a sore thumb with this squad is, and we've spoken about it a couple of times this year, it's a squad in transition, right? Yeah. We always knew that the core of that 2023 squad, a lot of those guys aren't going to make it to 2027. And I think now we're slowly seeing, the
effects of that.
Like Vincent Koch, Faf de Klerk, Bongi Mbenambi, Trevor Nyakane. The question is, Willie Leroux, you got to 100 tests now, but the question is, have we seen these guys play their last test for the Springboks?
It's an interesting question. I think it's very telling that the only person in that 4 that you mentioned, I think I'm right in saying, is Bongi that's on the standby list. All the others, are not. So they're not in the starting lineup. They're not in the touring squad, and they're not even on the sort of reserves waiting in the wings. So yeah, man, look, it's a shame because they're all world class. They're all World Cup winners. We as countrymen, we love them all, and we love them for who they are as players, but also the contribution that they've made to the Boks success. But it definitely does seem that there's a changing of the guard, and as you say, Rusty's maybe looking at it as a moment in time where we're right in the middle between both World Cups, and it's time to start planning towards that next one.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last talking point before I ask you for some predictions over the weekend, Matt, is this whole 9-week ban of Jan-Hendrik Wessels, it's interesting because he was named in the squad. He's obviously out of the squad. He's not going to tour. I haven't seen any appeal from the Bulls or from SA Rugby. I haven't seen any replacement being called up for Jan-Hendrik Wessels into the squad. We know there's some guys on standby like Bongi who can cover hooker, which we know Jan-Hendrik Wessels plays as well. But Johan Grobelaar is back in the squad, so he'll also cover hooker behind Malcolm. So it's been very quiet, and which makes me think, do you think he played guilty in that hearing? Because what frustrates me, and not because I'm a Bull and not because I'm a South African, but you can only go on the evidence that is presented to you, right? And what they did is they found him guilty based off of the Connacht player Murphy's testimony. They believed him, and there was no video footage, no camera angle, no photo evidence that proved him right or wrong. They just believed his testimony and said, based on what we saw on the screen, we felt that is probably what happened. Therefore, he gets a ban. Now, the only thing that makes me think why he's getting a ban and why there's been no comment from SA Rugby at all, do you think Jan-Hendrik Wessels played guilty and said, yeah, I did grab him by the goons? I don't know.
Mate, I think in life, in general, you're innocent until proven guilty. And whether or not they've got their hands on some evidence that we as the public haven't seen or hasn't been revealed to us as yet, which has obviously then been damning enough to convict him, right? Even if he was to put his hand up and go, I was a bit of a stupid bugger, I was doing some, dark arts things. Is it 9 games? 9-game ban? That's massive. Like, I don't know, it's a very weird judgment because if there is no evidence that has been presented and all they're doing is going on the word of the other player, well, that's not right. And that's just a precedent for other future events where people are going to turn around and
dangerous precedent.
Very dangerous precedent. Because you can turn around and go, no. The reason I'm going to deck this guy in the face is because he did something. Oh, there's no video footage. Just like, but you've got to take my word for it because you did this before. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's some it feels dodgy to me, right?
It does, because it's such a serious accusation.
Allegation.
I mean, doing that to a player. If he was guilty and you could clearly see it, I'm a Bulls fan. I'm saying he should have get a longer ban. Honestly, it's like throwing a clean punch. I mean, that is proper foul play. He should have got a couple of months. Honestly, that's how strong I feel about it. And the fact that they gave him 9 weeks, it's like it doesn't make any sense. There's no proof of foul play, but they do want to send a clear message, but they don't really have anything to go on. And the fact that they gave him 9 weeks actually just proves that they had nothing on him, which is it's the strangest decision. And what made it even worse was their statement. Official statement from URC was 2 paragraphs on a 1-pager, where if you look at the Premiership in England, that you can go and search all their disciplinary cases and they get full detail. They give you exactly how they got to the outcome. There's a whole process that they go through, and that transparency was lacking here. So I feel Jan-Hendrik Wessels is really hard done by. And there's a good reason why Russie's pissed off about this.
He's not the only one, mate. Like, I think it's fair to say we're all pissed off about it because it leaves us as a country with the Springboks short in a pretty critical position. And not only that, he's a really good player. He's done a good job for us. It just feels dirty. Is what it does. Yeah. And so, if they don't have any sort of concrete evidence that they put forward in order to make their judgment, then I would hope that Russie and their management team and the lawyers that support them put together an appeal, because I think that's only fair. Whether the Court of Arbitration would see it fit, they should. Again, you cannot be proven guilty with no evidence. You're innocent.
Even if everyone believes he did it. To be honest, mate, I think Jan-Hendrik Wessels did something dodgy. You can see the player's reaction, and it's easy to assume that. I think he did something.
Yeah,
What
but
exactly and
again,
how he made contact, no one knows. There's no proof of it.
there's no proof, and so the burden of proof lies on the accusing team, or the team that are looking to vilify the individual. And if you can't justify the argument that this individual is criminal in their intent, I don't know what the word would be, but like if they have no justification to prove that he did something, then how can you lay that down? So again, it feels dirty, it feels unjust, even though there seems to be something there. And personally, I'm a firm believer in where there's smoke, there's fire. But if you see smoke, go and find the fire to prove that the fire is there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Matt, before we close out the show, give me a couple of predictions, 3 big games. Let's start off with the All Blacks against the Irish. Who do you think is going to take it?
I do think the All Blacks are going to win. I think that they are smarting. I think it's going to be a good game. The Irish are going to be up for it. And obviously, are there Kiwi boys still in the team? Bundy Aki and James Lowe?
Yeah, they'll play. We haven't seen the team announced, but they'll be part. James Lowe will be there. Yeah.
And who's coach?
Andy Farrell. He's
Andy
done
Farrell's
with the
back
Lions, so
coaching.
he's back. He's back.
So he's back coaching. Andy Farrell's there. Oh, maybe change my prediction there. I think it's going to be a great game. And again, if Andy Farrell can get his boys up, it's going to be really, really close. I'm saying the All Blacks, but my heart is saying Ireland. So
I think my head and my heart's going All Blacks. I think the All Blacks are a team on the up. I think Ireland, although they're still very, very good, it feels like they're a team a little bit in decline, and getting a little bit long in the tooth.
Yeah, they lost some heads though as well, didn't they? Colin Murray, he left, and a couple of others recently.
Yeah, but also the All Blacks have had a couple of games this year. Ireland, I mean, they've had a big gap now. They've only last played in the Six Nations. A couple of guys ran out for the Lions, but they'll be rusty in their first test. So I think it's a really tough one for them. I do predict the All Blacks. Plus, it's a Grand Slam tour for the All Blacks. It's the first time in many, many years that they're on a Grand Slam tour. And if they want to salvage something out of this season where they were unconvincing against France, they lost badly to the Springboks, they lost to Argentina.
Big questions being asked of them back home as well.
They've got to win, and they just lost one of their assistant coaches as well, who quit. So not everything's happy in All Black camp, but I do expect them to win. I don't think they're going to win the Grand Slam, though. I do think England is the only team that might beat the All Blacks, but we'll have to see. I do pick them to beat Ireland.
I feel for Razor, man. He's had a tough time of it. They've also positioned Jamie Joseph in another coaching role, which is basically,
if you stuff up, we've got someone to take over. That's
all. The vultures are circling. Many people calling for Jamie Joseph before Razor got the job. They said that he should have got the job already. So if you're Razor, you've got a lot to prove on this tour, and I think if he doesn't do well on this tour, then we'll see a change there.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the Aussies playing England at Twickenham. They kick off an hour just before the Springboks, so we're not going to be able to finish watching that game. I'm looking forward to it, but who do you think takes this one?
I think England, really.
Yeah, me too.
So England haven't had the greatest run out in the last couple of months. Some of their players played well for the Lions. But it's the start of the Autumn Nations series, and whenever England, their first game is always a humdinger because they come out in front of their crowd and they want to put on a show at Twickers. And I just think, given the inconsistency that Australia have showed, they have some really good performances through the championship. I just think England are going to see this as an opportunity to transfer.
Yeah, no, I mean, what really impressed me about England is with a relative B team, because they did give a lot of players to the Lions. They went and beat Argentina in Argentina. Right? So that was a good series win for them. I think Steve Borthwick is slowly but surely building a very, very solid team. They should have beaten Australia last year at Twickenham. They would want to make amends for that loss. I do pick England to beat the Aussies. Not by much. It's going to be a close game, one score in it, but they are going to win. And then obviously the big one for us, the
Before we go
Boks.
into that one, just on
Yeah, I can
Borthwick,
hear it. Yeah.
but like just on Borthwick, I think bit like Razor, right? So he's had some inconsistency. I think he's tracking at like 47% win ratio or something like that. It's not great. It's not great reading in any context. You're leading into a World Cup. If he doesn't, if England don't do well in this autumn series, it's squeaky bum time, I think, for him. But again, who do they look to replace him?
I'm putting my neck out here. And I don't like the English, although I live here, mate. But I pick England to beat Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
That's my big prediction for the end of the year.
The question to you is, what happens if he doesn't? Or not he, rather they don't. What happens to both of them? You think they let that run? If Australia beat them, New Zealand beat them, and then we come in and smash them, 3-0. Big questions.
Yeah, there will be a lot of questions. They're lucky that they're not playing the Springboks at the end on this tour at the end of the year. I think they've got an easier run in. I think he sticks around. I think they might get in some help, similar to what the Sharks are going through with Plum. They might look at some of the backroom staff. I can't think off the top of my head who's the obvious next guy in line is to go and coach England. You know,
maybe Selborne College give a secondment to your man.
Hey, Jake always said, you know, when Martin Johnson left and they gave the job to Stuart Lancaster, he put his hand up. He's like, I'll come and coach England. So who knows? Yeah. I don't think they go with that though. I think they would want to stick to someone English. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting.
Probably more fun coaching someone anyway. And then leading into our game of the weekend. Obviously the Springboks versus Japan.
Yeah, I think first game it's cold and miserable in the UK. It's going to be very windy. So it's not going to make for a pleasant day. I think the conditions are going to be tough. Japan will be plucky for 60 minutes. I think we pull away in the final 20. The Boks are historically very strong in the last quarter of the game. I do expect us to win by 15 to 20 points minimum. It's not arrogance. I mean, we comprehensively beat the All Blacks in Argentina. Maybe not at Twickenham. That was a closer game, but I never thought that we were going to lose that game against Argentina. So given where the Boks are with the squad that Rassi's picked and the importance of this tour, easy win for the Bokke.
I think we put 25 points in them. I'm calling it 47. So what's that? 47-22.
47-22. I like it. I'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
Nice one, Matt. Okay, looking forward to the Bokke. We'll do this again next week for the folks out there. Thanks for joining us. Sorry we were off the air for the last couple of weeks, but we are back. We'll do this every Monday to look at the Springbok performances over the weekend. We'll give you our thoughts and predictions for the following week's games. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel. Go and give us a follow, like our videos, click the little notification button at the bottom of the screen. Also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all the social medias. We'll do this again next week. Cheers.
Yes.